with YouTube. They have latched onto the live stream, bringing up the studio background, bringing up the studio set, bringing up monitors 1 and 2, bringing up cameras 1 and 2. Camera 3 is live. Camera 4 is up. We're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, it is Saturday night, 9 p.m. here at PJNET Live. It has been a great week on PJNET Live, and it's the end of a great week, so what better way than to end it with something great? Like, for example, Wild Bill for America. Now, if you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, I implore you to do it. He had a great video just released earlier today. It already has thousands of views, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, but you should subscribe to his channel on YouTube, Wild Bill for America, and also, well, you can watch him here on Saturday nights at 9 o'clock. I need to bring the Magic Genie into service, and Magic Genie, if you would be so kind as to please lower the monitors, and at which point we will bring in Wild Bill from the green room. Here he is, and tonight we'll be talking about a lot of topics. I'm going to let Bill do the talking because he refers to it as the gift of continuance. But Bill, on your mind tonight is immigration, sanctuary cities, and outer space. We're going to talk about Peter. I'll leave that one up to you. And you have a proposal that I would like to submit to the conservative patriots of America to please consider some funding from the government for Planned Parenthood. Yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah, there goes half your audience right there.
Yep. Hang in there with us, folks. You'll like it. And Tea Party 2020, immigration, sanctuary cities. What shall we do? Here's your hat, Bill. You don't need it.
Yeah, I'm indoors.
You're indoors.
Someone doesn't wear his hat indoors. I've got grief for that before. So.
We're good. Yeah, my mom taught me not to wear a hat indoors.
Yeah. Well, anyway, every once in a while, I just decide to dig into the headline news, and you know the way my mind works, I just can't help but drag some poor innocent people in with me, and that's how you got here tonight. So I'm doing what I call Bill Bites News, and let's just start. Let's just jump right in. Mark, I really like the way President Trump thinks. He tends to do things kind of the way I would do if I was there.
He thinks right.
I cheered the other day when he suggested busing the illegals to the sanctuary cities and just dumping them there by the thousands, tens of thousands.
That's a great idea.
It's not as good as my preferred remedy, which is arresting those sanctuary city officials for conspiracy to violate the immigration laws of the USA. Seriously, folks, the only way that the liberal foolishness will begin to fade away is when foolish liberals start getting handcuffed, fingerprinted, and jailed and sent to court for their criminal behavior. But since nobody's doing things my way, why not have some fun by dumping the criminal investigators right in the laps of the sanctuary city knuckleheads? Can you imagine Nancy Pelosi having 100,000 of her immigrants dumped in her city? So I can't think of a single good reason not to do this, but aggravating as it is, apparently DHS has blocked the president's idea. I hope that Mr. Trump can steamroll that, because I really want to watch what happens when the sanctuary cities get overrun.
A dose of their own medicine.
A dose of their own medicine. Well,
actually, all kidding aside, I think that would be a really nice alternative to look at, as opposed to deporting them back to their native countries and let the sanctuary cities deal with them.
I think deporting them back to their native countries is the best option, because these people are not dying in their own countries. They're just coming here looking for a free handout from the Democrats and promising to vote Democrat if they do. So this is one reason why the Democrats will not want these illegal invaders in their cities, is because the plan is to take all these this invading army and spread them all out through the conservative states so they can overwhelm the conservative vote in those states. They don't want them in New York. They don't want them in California because those states are already 100% liberal loon voters. So,
well, the other thing that you don't hear in the news is the census is coming up in 2020. The census counts everybody. Everybody. That could literally change the map of congressional districts and how much representation these districts get.
Well, let's move on. New York Democrats. Have you ever noticed that every time a sentence starts with those words, it's always something disgusting or just plain bad news for America? Well, the New York Democrats just blocked tuition assistance for the Gold Star families. It budgeted millions, though, to give the illegal invaders free tuition. Now, for you New York liberals who probably have no idea what a Gold Star family is, they are families who have had a member killed in action while serving in the U.S. military. You know, duty, honor, country, courage, things that tend to be alien concepts to liberals in general. Our military veterans and their families deserve all the respect we can give them. New York Democrats, man, what a bunch of dingleberries.
Bill, you know, right here in Florida is one of 14 states that undocumented students in college get in-state tuition.
Yep, and they vote Democrat in order to get it. Now, this is cool. This is cool. President Trump signed the order to establish the United States Space Force. Now, this is a winner just for sounding so cool. But seriously, you know, it's only a matter of time before people start putting weapons in space, and it only makes sense for us good guys to get control of that area first. We need multiple weapons that can shoot down ICBMs, and I understand they already have some of those. We also need to be able to destroy enemy satellites. And no, when I say enemy satellites, I'm not talking about CNN, MSNBC. Not yet, anyway. But wait till us civilians start launching our own satellites. Then we might start seeing things happen to the CNN satellites.
I'd like to just deprogram them or reprogram them, hack them. That'd be great. Just change the news.
Oh, we could have a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. So, condolences to the nation of Israel for their almost successful moon landing. They did a great job. It was a very inspiring effort. Israel launches rockets to the moon to advance science. Islam launches rockets at Israeli citizens. Hey, liberals, can you see the difference there? Or do you just not care?
No.
All right. Now, here's another one. I know it's disgusting and dishonest, but the Democrat homosexuals continue to blame God for their perversion. The openly homosexual mayor of South Bend, Indiana, whose name is, you're not going to believe this, is Peter Buttgeig. He says God created him to be a homosexual. Yeah, blame God for your sins. Guess how that's going to play out on Judgment Day. Now, anyway, Peter Buttgeig, B-U-T-T Buttgeig, is all Twitter-pated about being the first homosexual president. Well, I hate to burst your bubble there, Princess, but you would definitely not be the first homosexual president. And I think you all know who I'm referring to. Now, Mark, where do these people come up with these names? I'm telling you, it's like God is labeling these people. We got Peter Buttgeig here. We got Ellen DeGeneres. And who's that liberal a while back that fired the AR-15 and pretty much permanently wet himself? Was it Gersh Huntsman? That was another difficult one for me to say on video, but seriously, I mean, these are, does Beavis and Butthead name liberal babies? Is that what's going on here?
I knew a guy whose name was Tom Shitspire. And I suggested he change his name, so he did. He changed it to Bill Shitspire. He changed
it. Now that's a name that I could live with. I'd have more subscribers.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another go around about executing convicted murderers. this time in Alabama. The murderer was sentenced to death for killing a pastor with a sword. I'm sure there's a story there. But instead of the usual lethal injection, he wants to be suffocated with nitrogen gas, which I guess is the way to go. But that started a big battle in the courts. Now, the problem is that the standard lethal injection botches execution so often. And I've told these guys over and over, if you want executions done right, have Planned Parenthood do it.
Bring in the experts.
Of killing.
Yeah.
They're the Adolf Hitlers of the Democrat Party, and man, they know how to kill people. Have Planned Parenthood come in and take the convicted murderer, strap him to a table, and then take a chainsaw and remove his arms and legs with no anesthesia and leave him to bleed to death. Hey, if it's good enough for American children, it's good enough for American murderers.
And I'm not comfortable with the idea of a convicted murderer dictating or requesting. What right does he have to decide how he's killed? You know?
He's talking to the Democrats.
Yeah.
And Democrats consider every criminal to be a victim of their circumstances.
Oh, well,
it's not their fault.
Yeah.
He was probably forced to listen to Rush Limbaugh when he was young.
Bad potty training.
Planned Parenthood, the Auschwitz of America. Hey guys, the 2020 elections are going to be on us before we know it, and it is going to be all-out war to keep the Democrats from stealing the election. They're going to use every dirty trick and every crime they think they can get away with. Now, Lloyd Marcus is putting out a call for the Tea Party to rise again. He called me and I told him that I'm with him, but this time around, America needs a bigger, meaner Tea Party than what we had during the Obama years. And the reason for that is because the enemies of America are now 10 times meaner than they were during the Obama presidency. Seriously, conservatives and Christians in America have spent way too much time wagging our tails and trying to get along with the left, and it has failed every time. We need to stop wagging our tails and start showing our fangs.
Amen.
Go ahead. What are you thinking?
I was just thinking amen. And, well, you have some ways to go about that.
Well,
just kind of airlift.
I do.
We'll bring in some air support. We'll just descend and,
Well, my dad was 82nd Airborne in World War II. Mm-hmm. He made that drop into Normandy where they parachuted in behind enemy lines and really made a difference on D-Day. We need to adopt an 82nd Airborne attitude for the Tea Party. We need to drop our Tea Party events right in the middle of enemy territory. I'm thinking college campuses would be a great place to start, liberal universities, Democrat strongholds. The street, the sidewalk in front of the San Francisco mayor's office. We need to go where the enemy is. And the reason that I'm encouraging this is because all my years as a Tea Party speaker, I tried to get them to come out from behind closed doors, to get out and meet the public. And when necessary, confront the enemy. But 90% of the Tea Partiers would not do it. They would go to events where they could hide in a crowd of thousands and not be confronted, or they would have their Tea Party meetings behind closed doors, often with security, to make sure that nobody challenged them.
Or they hide behind the keyboard or social media, which, for a while showed some promise, but social media is a rigged game at this point.
It is. It is now. And you also know that the media will never give the Tea Party a fair shake. They will slander them as racists and bigots. And the only way for the Tea Party to overcome the media slander is for them to get out and make an end run around the media by going directly to the public. I've been trying for years to get the Tea Party to hold community bashes where they would have a great big party in City Park where everybody's invited to hear good music, enjoy good food, dancing in the streets. Hey, there's a new one for the Tea Party. And to hear inspirational speakers. You think I could get any of them to do that? Absolutely not.
No, but the left is busy tearing down statues of General Lee. And I think that's part of the problem is the media wants to cover those events where what you're describing is just good old American fun.
Yeah, and I don't care if the media covers our community bashes or not. I want the Tea Party to get out and go face to face with the American public so the public can learn that the media is not telling the truth about the Tea Party. It's plain old basic public relations. The Tea Party needs to stop hiding and come on out and be friendly, shake hands, do a little politicking. Sheesh. So, you know, and I want the Tea Party, the new Tea Party 2.0, to have enough attitude to strike fear in the hearts of the left. You know, there's been too long now that we have been retreating from them. It's time for them to start retreating from us. So what I'm thinking is, yeah, we get the young Republican clubs on college campuses to get us to an invite to speak at one of their meetings. And if and when the university rescinds the invitation, we show up anyway. We descend on them like the 82nd Airborne in France, and we hold our rally right on the steps of the dean's office. And we will show them loud and clear that First Amendment freedom of speech is still alive and well in America. And if the students rally around and want to give us grief, outstanding. We can use all the publicity we can get, and American patriots need to see American patriots standing up against the left and making progress. So.
I think you're making sense not only strategically but tactically. It was a pivotal point in the Civil War. General Lee was approaching Washington D.C., and one of the General Grant's officers came to him and says, what do you think Lee's going to do next? And General Grant got disturbed. And he says, we need to act in such a way that they ask what we're going to do next.
Yeah, I remember that. A letter from a major, I think it was. And Lee chewed him out. He says, you need to spend less time worrying about what Grant's going to do and start thinking about what you're going to do to Grant.
Yeah.
I remember that in the leadership lessons of Ulysses S. Grant. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to just basically gain the offensive.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm putting together a core group now. I just put out the video called The Bigger, Meaner Tea Party, and people are loving it.
I get my notifications. I watched it. It's a great video, Bill. Good job.
Well, here's some good news. Peter Strzok, the arrogant, corrupt FBI agent who was instrumental in setting up and executing the plan to sabotage President Trump, may be facing serious criminal charges. Now, speaking as a 20-year law enforcement veteran, I can say that it is absolutely shameful that any American law enforcement officer would ever align himself with Hillary Clinton and her crime cartel. So Strzok, Comey, Mueller, and their minions have done irreparable harm to the reputation of the FBI and federal law enforcement in general. These guys need to face the fire of justice, of criminal justice in the courts, not with another congressional dog and pony show. America's sick and tired of those where nobody ever gets prosecuted. Listen up, America. Criminal court is the only solution to the Hillary Clinton style of political corruption in Washington, D.C. Get these guys indicted, photographed, fingerprinted, and sitting in front of a jury.
Let me ask you a question, Bill.
Sure.
And recently, we've had Jussie Smollett raise false accusations, and even the Chicago, I actually found people that I thought were bad guys were condemning it, and it's all fake. What is the difference between that and a witch hunt investigation that takes 2 years and spends $30 million?
Well, they're both dishonest, and they were both instigated by Democrats, which is standard operating procedure for them. And none of them are facing justice. And as long as these people don't answer for their crimes, we can only expect this nonsense to get worse.
Right.
Where's the common sense in America? Well, speaking of common sense, here we're going to take on the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is about to undergo a tsunami of sexual abuse exposure. And they've been bringing this on themselves for a long time. Now, the former Pope, Benedict, the guy who stepped down about 6 years ago, and I still think there was something suspicious about that. But anyway, he broke his silence by issuing a 6,000-word statement declaring that The big problem with the Catholic Church is that the Catholic seminaries have been overrun with homosexuals. Now, the outrageous Catholic Church pedophile scandal has never been a pedophile problem as much as it has been a homosexual problem within the church. If it was a pedophile problem, we would see young girls coming forward as victims as well. But the attacks that we see are exclusively on young boys, and that is an act of predatory homosexuals. Now, there is no excuse for any organization that calls itself Christian to allow such a thing to rise up in their ranks. The Bible is crystal clear that homosexuals are not permitted to serve in any capacity within the church, any capacity. In fact, the New Testament commands that sexually immoral men be put out of the church, period. Nothing ambiguous about that at all. But the Catholic Church for a long time have arrogantly declared that their human leaders know better than the Bible, and they continue to ignore clear scriptural directions. That is why the Catholic Church has been going through all these scandals and all these boys have been victimized. And until the Catholic Church pulls its head out and dedicates itself to obeying God's word, their mess is going to continue. Your thoughts?
Bill, I need a stiff drink of coffee.
Make it a double.
Oh, we're not in Switzerland. It's okay.
Switzerland. Yeah. Switzerland just made my enemies list. They just said that coffee is not essential.
Neither is chocolate.
Oh man, you just hit the list too. Well, actually, I'm gonna have to start a list because as a conservative, I don't have an enemies list. But I do have a prayer list. I'll be praying for both of you and Switzerland. But after I got upset with Switzerland, I actually read what they did. What they're doing is the Swiss government is eliminating the national stockpile of emergency coffee. Now, personally, that sounds like a pretty good idea to me. There are worse things they could stockpile. But anyway, so...
Well, I've actually been to Switzerland, and we think of Switzerland as a neutral country. They actually do have a standing army, and it's you are conscripted into it. It is not voluntary, and when you leave, you are required. Get this, required to keep your weapon. They go back to a semi-automatic. They disable the fully automatic functionality, but you are required to be armed.
Yeah, well, it's a little country surrounded by other nations, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So there was a town, I think it was in Minnesota, that tried to pass a law, excuse me, that every adult in the state had to have an AR-15. Mm-hmm. And well, it made me smile when I read it. I also realized that that's as unconstitutional as you can get. Mm-hmm. If an 18-year-old girl does not want an AR-15, we can't force her to get one. But it sure was fun discussing the idea. All right. We kicked Switzerland around a little bit. What else do we have? Oh, here's a guy that is a lot of fun to kick around. Michael Avenatti, the porn star attorney who brought that ridiculous Stormy Daniels attack on President Trump, is in hot water. Mr. Avenatti, so full of himself that he was recently crowing that he's going to run for president, has been indicted for 2 very serious crimes. First, he tried to shake down Nike, Jesse Jackson style, where he threatened to organize a boycott unless they handed him $20 million. Well, Jesse Jackson might get away with that, but Avenatti's a white guy. He got busted. So anyway, it looks like he might be going to prison for that. And the other one, Avenatti has been busted for concealing a $4 million payment that was supposed to go to one of his clients, a mentally ill paraplegic man. And it looks like Avenatti took the money and spent almost all of it in a 5-month period. Man, that's a lot of Big Macs.
That's $800,000 a month.
Oh man! So
But he
I could
wears
do it.
expensive suits, you know. I mean,
I could do it if it was Big Macs and I had $800,000 a month on Big Macs. I could probably do it, but I'd have to work at it.
you know, I think if he weren't so bombastic, maybe he wouldn't draw so much attention to himself. He might have gotten away with it.
That's true, but he wanted attention. That's why he was doing
He
it.
got it.
He jumped in front of every TV camera he could find, promoting himself like he's some kind of superstar. And he is a Democrat superstar. And actually, he's still the perfect Democrat candidate for president. Supremely arrogant, disregards and breaks the law anytime it suits him. And he has experience at robbing people. I mean, this guy is Hillary Clinton 2.0, Democrat hero. Now, you know what? Is it possible for a Democrat to be elected president while he's in prison? It could happen. But yeah, they are just that nuts nowadays. All right. Here's a disturbing story right here in Florida. A search of shipping containers uncovered 52 tons of guns and ammunition being smuggled to Muslim immigrants in Fort Myers, Florida. 52 tons of guns and ammo. Man, that's a lot of weapons. 14 shipping containers full. Well, here's a wild bill bullet of truth for America. Islam is the most violent, false religion on earth, and it kills, slaughters the citizens of any nation that is foolish enough to allow Islam to gain a foothold. Wake up, America. These 14 shipping containers were discovered. How many have actually gotten through and are now stored in the mosques all over the United States of America? Man, I tell you, when the Muslims finally cut loose and decide to wage open jihad on America, they're going to hit us from every direction. And the Democrats are going to have even more blood on their hands. Are these Democrats so foolish that they actually think they will be exempted when the jihad ends? Whoever came up with the term useful idiot must have been thinking about modern American Democrats.
Well, in the case that you're referring to, I would be in favor, believe it or not, of some gun control. We need to stop the illegal flow of weapons like that.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
And Fort Myers, of all places to send a bunch of weapons. I mean, I've been to Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess nobody there cared. I don't know.
What would be easier to do than catching all the illegal guns would be deporting all of those who are adherents of the most violent false religion on earth. They have to swear allegiance to Islam, and Islam is all about violently overthrowing the United States of America. That is what the sedition laws of the USA are all about. Title 18, a 20-year prison sentence for belonging to a seditious organization. We have legal grounds to get rid of every Muslim in America. They belong to a seditious organization. Seriously, you take the law seriously. If you read Title 18, the sedition laws, Islam is a felony in America. But since the law is rarely followed in Washington, D.C., we have Muslims and tons of guns coming into our country. But I do know where we could send them if we did get to send them out. China apparently is now cracking down on 32 million Muslims in China. Now, what happens when China, the most communist, brutal dictatorship, stomps down on the most violent false religion on earth? I don't know. But I can't think of two groups that deserve each other more. And tell you the truth, Mark, I would throw gasoline on that fire myself just to watch.
It's light the sky up. And I've never thought of Armageddon. We think of the Middle East, but yeah, the scenario you're describing could be an Armageddon in the Far East.
I am, after studying Islam and the scriptures, I am convinced that Islam is the launching pad from which the biblical Antichrist will come forward. There's no question about it in my mind. And the way things are shaping up, and actually, believe it or not, just this week, Israel signed the orders to start building the third temple. Are you familiar with the Jewish temple and biblical prophecy?
The temple will be rebuilt. Well, actually, the temple stands. So, is that the one, or are you saying there's a different one that will be built, and it'll be the
It's
temple?
not the Temple on the Mount. That is misnamed. That is not the temple. Israel is ready to build the third temple, and what makes it significant is that the Book of Revelation says that the Antichrist will take his seat in the temple and
Mm.
declare him God, and that's what's going to trigger the Battle of Armageddon.
Wow.
But there has not been a temple since the Romans crushed the other one in AD 70.
70.
So this is significant that the third temple is about to be built. That's it. It's truly looking like we are living in the last days, my friend.
Bill, I wanted to ask you, are you still working on beaches, holding services there on Saturdays?
I haven't been holding services. No, the Outlaws Chapel gang joined up with Faith
Ah,
Riders, so
I see.
we're all joined together there now as motorcycle ministry. But I am out there on Saturdays doing personal ministry, reading the scriptures, handing out tracts, stuff like that.
Good. Well, good for you. I put the background in our studio as a beach, in honor of your ministry on the beaches, and you're a real son of a beach, and
Yeah,
you know,
yes,
it's,
I am. I am.
all right. Well, Bill, we're glad to have you back. It's good to hear you. Good to see you. The videos are great. I just consume them. Well, they're good, folks.
Oh,
Subscribe
thank you.
to Wild Bill for America's YouTube channel. You want, and set that notification bell, because Bill brings out videos with frequency. Let's put it that way. And we'll be here next Saturday night about this same time with Wild Bill, and we've got guests throughout the week, so we hope that you'll take advantage of that. Bill, thanks for joining us tonight and setting aside some time and giving of yourself in so many ways. This is just one of many ways that you serve and minister, and we appreciate you, brother.
Hey, it's good to be back to work. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Bill. Oh, folks, it is so good to be a part of something such as Wild Bill for America. It is good to be on the same team. Folks, if you're not part of the PJNet team, we encourage you to come join us. You can join by simply participating and watching and taking in the information and education and entertainment that we do here. But there are so many levels that you can go up to. And find your sweet spot, folks, because as Bill not suggested but stated, we've got to gain the initiative. It's not going to happen just by thinking and talking and complaining amongst ourselves. So we always appreciate Wild Bill and all the others on the PJNet team. We will see you Monday night right here, and it'll be Casper's Takes. Casper Stockham from Colorado. We'll see you then.